Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Friday, it is the press conference reaction to Marco Silva's pre-game press conference ahead of tomorrow night's game against Manchester City at Goodison Park. Obviously a 5:30 kickoff. We're going to be discussing some of the quotes that Marco Silva made in today's press conference. We're going to be talking about some of the conversation he had with the journalists as well. I'm going to be specifically talking about a couple of things that he brought up that I think shows where about his head's at in terms of management of Everton Football Club. You can see one of them is the title. It's too early to panic. That's what Marco Silva said in today's press conference. He said, when you look at the table, we are not happy, but it is too early to panic. And I suppose that's okay for him to make that judgment. I suppose that's okay for him to make that decision, but that's not to say that the fans aren't panicking. That's not to say that the board aren't panicking. That's just him trying to feed the message to say that it's too early on to panic. And that's fair enough. Obviously, he's going to feed that message. He's not going to come out and say, yeah, we're not doing really, really well. We should start panicking now because he is the one in control of this. So we're going to go through all of the quotes in today's live stream, of course. We're going to delve straight into them. Max says hi. Hi, Max. I hope you're doing well. I'm just going to tweet today's team out so everybody on Twitter knows we are live. They can come and they can join in the conversation. I don't know if you've seen it already. I mentioned it yesterday briefly. I've done a opposition preview over on Man City Fan TV ahead of tomorrow night's game, talking about my opinions on the game, and I was actually asked 5 questions by Andy, who's one of the presenters over there. So go over to Manchester City Fan TV, go and have a little look at that. You'll see me on there. They make really, really good content as well. And Andy will also be doing a little bit of a preview on our channel. I've got the video there. I just need to edit it together, basically. So hopefully that'll be done by tomorrow morning. And, you'll be able to see Andy's opinions on the game and on Manchester City in general as well. So go and check that one out after this live stream if you haven't seen it already. Graham says, stop panicking then, Cam. I'm not panicking, mate, to be honest with you. I know there's a lot of things that Everton needs to improve, and there's a lot of mistakes that Marco Silva needs to make right, and needs to make right quickly. I don't think we're in a panic situation as to some people may think we're in, about, talking about relegation form and dropping down the table. For me, my expectation was to get into the top 6. My expectation was at least be in and around the top 6 or 7, and this form isn't looking like we're going to be there, and I'm not really panicking. I'm just not very happy with that. So anyway, delving straight into Marco Silva's pre-game press conference, I suppose one of the biggest bits of information is that Marco Silva confirmed yet again that Andre Gomes is still out for tomorrow's game against Manchester City. He also said that Jean-Philippe Gabon was still out, which was something we already knew. It was rumoured by the Liverpool Echo yesterday that Andre Gomes might be out until mid-October with his rib injury. Now, we don't know whether that is, partly true. We don't know whether that's, 100% true yet. What Everton are saying themselves is that he's being monitored day by day. It's very clear he hasn't been available for a couple of weeks now, so it could well be mid-October. We're towards the back end of September now. But one thing is for sure, and that is he is not fit enough to play tomorrow. Marco Silva then went on to talking about the striker situation. Now, this is something that we spoke about in the game preview yesterday. We spoke about the possibility of playing 2 up front. We spoke about the possibility of putting Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Moise Kean up there, because in my opinion, I don't think Dom has got enough to lead the line on his own, and I don't think Moise Kean has got enough experience or he's had enough time to settle in yet to be able to lead the line on his own. So Marco Silva was asked directly about this. Obviously, people, wondering the same as us. He said, we can adapt, and I am here to take the best from the players that we have. If you are asking to start with 2 strikers, we played 40 minutes with 2 strikers, but we created less chances than with 1 striker. So basically what he's saying there is we're not going to start with 2 strikers tomorrow. Basically, he's saying that he understands the calls to have 2 strikers, and he wants people to know that he can make that call if he wants to, which is obvious. But he's saying, he's come out and he's threw a little comment in there saying we created less chances with 2 than we did with 1. So obviously it's not something that he favours massively. The performances aren't something that are showing that he's going to be proven wrong in terms of that. So for me, pretty much like we all assumed yesterday, he's probably not going to go with 2 up front tomorrow. It probably is going to be 1 striker, and that is probably going to be Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So that's Marco Silva's obviously thoughts on the 2 striker situation. Like I said, very interesting to say that, for him to say that we can adapt and he is here to get the best out of the players. Obviously, basically meaning that if it's the best for the team, he'll play it. But obviously the comment afterwards with him saying that we created less chances than with 1 striker shows that he doesn't believe it's best for the team at the minute. Everton FC is the best. Says, how's it going? I'm not doing too bad, thank you, hope you're doing well. Graham says, I can't wait for tomorrow. Hope we go out and wipe the floor with them. Me too, fingers crossed. Everton FC is the best. Says 4-4-2 is the right one. Fair enough. I don't think he'll play it, but fair enough. David says, Marco did call out the lads after Sheffield United, but can't see us winning this nor finishing outside the top 10. But if he's already saying don't panic, is he questioning himself? Fair enough. Good point. Really, really good question. We'll go into talking about that quote in just a moment. Everton FC is the best says, he said that one striker can create more chances than two. He did, yeah, exactly. And I think, again, that's maybe him covering his back for his own decision, and maybe him trying to put across to the fans and put across to the media that his own decision is justified as well, because I think a lot of fans and a lot of people will be sitting here now screaming for two strikers. I think a lot of us are sitting here saying, well, we know Dominic Calvert-Lewin can't lead the line on his own, and it's become apparent that Moise Keane hasn't got enough experience yet, or obviously had enough time to settle in yet to lead the line on his own, so why not put them both up front? There's things that they will benefit each other with massively. Why not stick them both up there? And I think Marco Silva's coming out and saying, well, basically, yeah, I could do that, but here's the reason as to why I haven't been doing that. And, you know, it's a little bit of a defence mechanism maybe, but that's what he said. He then went on to talk about Manchester City a little bit. He said, we know they like to score early, but we don't look at their last result, which was obviously a massive 8-0 win against Watford. I prefer to look at the Norwich game. So again, that's pretty positive from Marco Silva. He's basically coming out and he's saying, listen, it'd be a bit silly of us to look at the game against Norwich and try and pick any holes. Look at the game against Watford, for Manchester City, and try and pick any holes in it and try and look at where we can exploit, because they absolutely wiped the floor with a poor Watford team, They absolutely wiped the floor with them. And, you know, Watford are in bad form this season, and they have been. So it would be silly for Everton to look at the Watford game and think, right, how can we get at Manchester City here? Where can they be exploited? Because they weren't exploited once. They absolutely battered Watford. So he's right in saying that, you know, we prefer to look at the Norwich game, where obviously they were beaten and they were exploited and the defensive deficiencies were shown. So, you know, I agree with him on that one. It's right, we shouldn't be looking at the Watford game. If we're analysing Manchester City and if we're looking at ways to try and break them down, if we're looking at ways to try and hit them on the counter and try and put the ball in the back of the net, then there's absolutely no point in looking at the Watford game, because Watford got nowhere near doing that. So we will be looking at the Norwich game. So again, good quote from Marco Silva there. Matty says, I'm not even panicking. There you go. Maybe none of us are panicking. Maybe he's panicking. Just throwing it out there. And David says he can only use one striker with Gylfi, so his hands are tied. Exactly. And listen, we spoke about it on yesterday's live team, the game preview. I personally think that Gylfi Sigurdsson should remain out of this game. I think Alex Iwobi should stay in the number 10 and Bernard on the left. But I can't help but feel like Marco Silva will throw Gylfi Sigurdsson straight back in there. It's just me natural feeling. If you're enjoying the team so far, by the way, please do hit the like, get it shared across all your social medias as well. Get it shared to everyone, and we can all come in and have a little conversation about the press conference. He also said we have to be more clinical, and if you do that, the results will be there. Now, again, I understand where he's coming from. Basically, in simpler words, he's saying if we put the ball in the back of the net, we'll score more goals and consequently we'll win more football matches, which is right. However, I'm saying we need to be more clinical going forward. He didn't specifically say going forward, but I'm assuming he means going forward, and then saying the results will be there. Yeah, okay, that'll work sometimes, but also we need to focus defensively as well, because we've been shocking defensively over the last couple of weeks, and at the end of the day, we could be as clinical as can be going forward. We could score 4 or 5 goals going forward, but if the defence is a shambles and we concede 6, we lose the game. So I do understand where he's coming from there, and he probably hasn't thought as deep into it as I have, but that's what these press conference reactions are for doing. They're looking into the comments and we're trying to delve into them and see what he means by them. So again, like I said, it's understandable, and I agree, we do need to be more clinical, and if you do that, then naturally results will come. But we also need to be a lot better defensively. We need to be a lot more creative in the midfield, and, you know, being more clinical up front is another thing as well. But it's a part of a cycle that needs to, you know, to turn correctly, and at the minute that the whole cycle's on its arse, not just the clinical finishing. David says Norwich play with pace to the middle, exactly, and Everton FC says Everton FC is the best. Says this decade Liverpool fans said that we're going to get relegated. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get relegated, mate. I really don't. Marco Silva then went on to talking about the rumour that linked him with a move to Sporting Lisbon. Now, I don't know if you've seen this. I didn't actually cover it on the channel. I didn't speak about it. I didn't cover it on Twitter because I pretty much knew it was a load of bullshit anyway. But there was a rumour coming out on Twitter yesterday that Marco Silva had apparently been approached by Sporting Lisbon for their vacant manager's role. You know, a couple of fans jumped onto it. A couple of fans were asking questions about it. He was asked about it in his pre-game press conference today. I dare say to just absolutely nonsense the rumour, and he said nothing, not to. So there you go, we can nonsense that one now. I don't know whether he's saying not to as in they haven't approached him, not to as in, you know, he's not leaving, not to as in they don't want him, I don't know, but basically there's nothing in it, so we don't even have to worry about it. He then went on to talking about Jabril Sidibe. Now, Sidibe obviously was a player that we spoke about heavily in yesterday's live game preview. We spoke about how, in my opinion, I think he should remain in this team. In my opinion, I think that Seamus Coleman needs to take a step out now, because he hasn't been performing well enough this season. Going forward, he hasn't been doing enough, and defensively, he hasn't been fantastic either. So we spoke about Jabril Sidibe. I said that he should stay in. He got a really good assist on Tuesday night against Sheffield Wednesday, and he's proven that the more he's playing, obviously he's only played a couple of games for Everton, but in each of those games he seemed to have grew into the game a lot more. Marco Silva said that you always want competition for places. He gives us that. He did well. He's pushing Coleman, and we'll see better things from him. And obviously Marco Silva coming out there and saying we'll see better things from him instantly tells me that in order for us to see better things from him, he's going to need to be playing football matches, and I think it will be the right decision to keep Djibril Sidibe in there tomorrow. Now, there's going to be, I dare say, a couple of changes Marco Silva will make to the team that played against Sheffield Wednesday on Tuesday. I'll probably expect Morgan Schneiderlin to be back in there just because, obviously we're facing Manchester City. I'll probably expect Gylfi Sigurdsson to be back in there as well because he's one of the favourites. But in terms of Djibril Sidibe and Seamus Coleman, for me, I'd keep Djibril Sidibe in there. I really, really would. I don't think he put a foot wrong on Tuesday night. Yes, he looked a little bit shaky against Lincoln, but it was his first game in an Everton shirt, obviously first game in this country against a tough opposition. Obviously coming on Tuesday night, he looked a little bit more comfortable. He was really good going forward. He nearly got himself a goal, and obviously he got a really, really good assist as well. So for me, I think it's about time Djibril Sidibe gets given an opportunity. Now obviously Marco Silva appreciates his hard work and has recognised that he's been playing well, and he played well on Tuesday night. Obviously he's saying that that's what you want, competition, and he's pushing Seamus. So hopefully he's pushed Seamus now enough to get a starting place tomorrow afternoon. Marco Silva then went on to talk about the current form in the Premier League. He said that no one is happy when you are conceding goals like we are. There are almost the same players with the fourth best defensive record, and we achieved that by working hard. So yeah, obviously he's talking about the end of last season, in the beginning of this season, the defensive record that we had, obviously the record that we had at Goodison Park, and he's basically saying that nothing much has changed, that in fact nothing has changed in terms of the defence. So it's difficult to see where obviously the form is coming from. He's not happy with the goals that we're conceding, and we can only assume that means the long balls coming into the box and the silly set pieces and stuff. But he said that they're almost the same players that had the fourth best defensive record, and we achieved that by working hard. So he's basically putting it down to working hard and concentration. And you know what? It's tough to disagree with that, in my opinion, because we could all sit here and say, well, Michael Keane's not good enough, Yerry Mina's not good enough, but Michael Keane was part of a defensive partnership last year that, had a really, really decent defensive record. Yerry Mina was part of one at the start of this season that had a decent defensive record as well. So at the end of the day, yes, it'd be easy to say, well, they're not good enough, and that was only spells of form, but it was a really, really big spell of form at the back end of last season when we were defending quite well against the top sides, and I understand that obviously that Kurt Zouma was a big part of that, and obviously we haven't got him this season. But again, Marco Silva's right, it was mainly the same sort of defence that are conceding stupid goals now, so we just have to iron that out. So basically he's putting it down to concentration and working hard, but the working hard's down to him, isn't it? He's putting the onus on himself there. For me, if he's coming out and saying the defensive errors are down to not working hard enough, then we need to be doing more than saying. And if the players need to stay an hour late, they stay an hour late. If they need to come in an hour early, they come in an hour early until we absolutely iron out these absolute stupid mistakes. Finally, he went on to talking about the quote that is the title of this live team, that is the graphic there. He said, "We are not happy when we look at the table, but it's too early to panic. Everybody is too close." So obviously the back end of that there is talking about the rest of the league, saying that everybody's close, obviously in reference to the fact that some of the big teams this season, Tottenham, City, I know we're nowhere near those two, but Tottenham, City, United, Chelsea, etc. have all dropped points at times this season, saying that the Premier League is quite tight, and it is quite tight. Would have got a win against Sheffield United, they would have beaten Villa, would have been right up there, and it'd been a fantastic start to the season. But that is what happens at the start of a Premier League season. You lose one game, and all of a sudden your start seems really, really bad. You win the next game, and it doesn't seem too bad, and then you win the game after, and it seems really, really good. I'm saying obviously that we look at the table and we're not happy, is again voicing the same opinion as the fans. We all look at the table and we're not happy about where we are. Not specifically the table, but we're not happy with the performances that we've been putting in recent weeks. The performance against Sheffield United, take out the result, take out the loss against Sheffield United, Bournemouth, Villa, take out the losses in those three games, the performances weren't good enough whatsoever. And obviously he understands that, but he says it's too early to panic. And it's interesting that I spoke about it at the start of the season, and quite a lot of people in the live comments were saying, well, we're not panicking. I'm personally not panicking, because again, it's like he said, it's far too early on in the season. We're only towards the back end of September now. We've got points on the board, and we will get points on the board. For me, I'm not happy because the inconsistency was something that we massively needed to work on this season. If we were going to break into that top 6, top 7, top 5, whatever you want to call it, we're not going to break into that with the inconsistency that we've got at the minute, losing to teams like Sheffield United, Bournemouth and Villa. But it doesn't mean I'm panicking because I think we're going to get relegated or we're going to drop down the table. I don't think that at all. I'm just just not particularly happy because I had higher expectations. But obviously Marco Silva understands that some Evertonians are panicking, some people are panicking. So let me know in the live comments if you're panicking. Let me know if you're watching a YouTube video in the comment section down below. Are you panicking about our current form, or do you just think it's not good enough? But, you know, there's nothing really to worry about. Where are we? David says, let Liverpool worry about themselves. They just want to get a rout from us. Exactly. I don't know why they're interested in us, to be honest. They're an obsessed fan base, and we all know that anyway. Evan FC the best says, nice haircut, lad. Thank you very much. I haven't actually had a cut for since last week, so it's the same haircut as it's been all week, but thank you very much. Jeff says, let Silva go Farhad and let him take the fraud of a chin. We haven't Billy Liar Ken right. Fair enough, that's your opinion. Please do leave a like on the stream if you are enjoying, by the way. It really does mean a massive amount to me. And if you're new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button. Evan FC is the best says, I miss Seamus. Listen, Seamus Coleman's been an absolutely unbelievable servant for Everton Football Club. He's been a legend of the club, but there's no room for sentiment in football at the end of the day, and if he's not playing good enough, then he needs to come out the team. And if there's a player on the bench there in Sidibe who is playing good enough, then there's no reasons to why he shouldn't be in there. David says Sidibe won't play. Marco will go to the side and test the player, so we'll be slow. I do fear that that'll be the case, but hopefully we're proven wrong. Evan FC is the best, as Marco's English is so bad. I don't actually think it's that bad, to be honest with you, mate. I think he's, obviously some things are lost in translation, but I think he's generally, he speaks fluent English, obviously, and sometimes it's just his accent, but I don't think it's that bad. Wayne says, you need a bandana combo, have to keep up styling, mate. Now you're getting famous. Have a good weekend, mate. Up the toffees, yeah. Thank you very much, you too. Hope you do have a good weekend, and yeah, up the toffees. Hopefully we can get something else in tomorrow's game. David says, get a KSI haircut. No chance. No chance, mate. His forehead's about 4 times the size of mine. Everton FC is the best, says 14 isn't us, is it though? Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. David says nowhere near. Wayne says well fucked off today. Found out Nice signed Kasper Dolberg for 20 million euros. He could have been boss for us. Got everything we're missing from a one-man up front striker. Pissed off with Brand's girl. Fair enough. Listen, he is a decent striker, obviously. He's a really, really good striker. There's no guarantee that he'd come to the Premier League and be able to perform. But, you know, he's a decent striker with a lot of potential, and I would have liked to see him at Everton. Everton FC is the best as Everton. Anything happened with that international striker? Which international striker? I'm not too sure which one you mean there. And David says to Wayne, but we got Keane instead. Exactly. And Max says, do you think he will start Keane or DCL or both? I think he'll start Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Personally, if you haven't seen the game preview to this game, it's live on the channel. We live streamed it yesterday. Go over and check that one out. You'll see my whole predicted starting 11. I personally think he'll go with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Obviously, his comments in his pre-game press comments today about, you know, yes, we can play 2 up front, but if you look at the recent games, we've created more with 1 up front. I don't think he'll play 2 up front, and I just don't think he'll put Moise Keane up there. I think he'll see Dominic Calvert-Lewin as having more experience, obviously scored more goals this season, and I just think he trusts in Dominic Calvert-Lewin a little bit more. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's live stream. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button. It'd mean a massive amount to me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. Like I said, look out for the oppositional preview with Andy from Man City Fan TV. A little bit either later on today or tomorrow morning, probably more likely tomorrow morning, so I've got a little bit of time to edit it. And then, of course, the instant match reaction tomorrow. Hopefully it's a positive one. Hopefully it's one that we're sitting here going, well, that was boss. But, you know, we never know. We're playing a top side at the end of the day. One of the best sides in the world, and probably the best side in England. So, who knows? Mike says, we need the players to step up and give Man City a good game. No hiding, no heads down, turn the Manx over. Exactly, and that's something that we spoke about again yesterday. We need to play with confidence. We need to play with urgency, and we can't be letting our heads drop. If we go 1-0 down in 5 minutes, that's something that Marco Silva spoke about today. He spoke about how Manchester City like to score early. I know they like to capitalise on that, so if you go 1-0 down in 5 minutes, I don't want to see their heads dropping, and I don't want to have that feeling of, oh, we've lost this game already. I want to see players picking themselves up, rolling their socks up, growing a pair of bollocks, and going on and turning up and putting in at least 110% passion, at least 110% fight, and at least 110% urgency for those fans. If we get beat on the day because we haven't got enough quality, then that is what it is. You can't expect anything more, really. They've got more quality in the team, they've got a better manager, and, you know, obviously they're a fantastic footballing side, which we aren't yet. But if we get beaten, we haven't bothered putting in an effort, and we haven't bothered trying, then that's when I'll be really, really pissed off. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's team. Massive thanks for watching. Like I said, please do hit the like button if you have enjoyed. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. It's at MightyBluesYT, just down there, and subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. Big thanks to everybody for all the support recently. It really does mean a massive amount to me. If you're watching as a YouTube video afterwards, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I'll get to them as well, and make sure to comment to as many of them as possible. Big thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers for watching. See you soon on the Mighty Blues.